Welcome to the Yappin podcast. I'm your host, Rafa. Let's start yapping. So this week, the Dallas Cowboys hired a new head coach. They missed out on Ben Johnson. They missed out on maybe Pete Carroll. Might have been a chance there. Who knows? Aaron Glenn. I don't think he was any good. I don't think you missed out on shit there. But they hired Bryan Schottenheimer. What the fuck was going on, Jerry Jones? Are you kidding? Bryan Schottenheimer to coach a team. This man, he's supposedly this. He didn't call plays last year. Like, from what I have understood, he didn't call plays for 90% of the season. He might have started at the beginning of the season calling plays. Who knows? That was a shit show. This man has never been involved with a team that's had a top 10 offense, like that he's had his hands in on, whether it's a quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, whatever. It just hasn't been. And Jerry goes out and hires this guy. Like, that just proves to your fan base and to what everyone in the media says that Jerry Jones just doesn't want to have pushback from anybody. Because to go out and hire this guy, and I said a couple weeks ago, Dion wasn't the right hire. So I don't think he's a good coach. I think he's a phenomenal recruiter, but not a head coach. But Bryan Schottenheimer, like, you hired a guy that you knew for sure it wasn't going to give you any issues on whatever the fuck it is you want to do. Jerry's probably going to call plays at this point. The fucking way, like, it's just insane for you to have, in my opinion, a top 10, 8 quarterback, whatever, a top 5 wide receiver. You have one of the 3, 4, 5 best defensive ends in the league. You have a decent secondary. You have an aging, a little bit of a struggling offensive line, but you'll be able to improve that this year. And they usually have an above average offensive line. I mean, the team is if you were to have been healthy this year for the most part, I think they're an 11-win team. And you're going to give a team with the keys to a team that, in my opinion, is an 11, 12-win team to a guy who's yet to prove anything. Realistic. And yes, I know, like, at the end of the day, you're running, there was thin what was left. But how about maybe even interview Spags after maybe this weekend, maybe if they get to the Super Bowl, whatever. I mean, I don't know.
That would have been a great hire.
I'm also, though, of the type where I think Spags is a career defensive coordinator. I mean, things change, but there's a few guys that I believe that they're that. And for me, he's one of them. But, I mean, maybe I'll tell you what, though, and I have that opinion of him that I think he's a career coordinator. I would have rather had him 1,000 times before I have Schottenheimer. And I know they may believe in Dallas that their best unit is the offense, which I believe that as well. So maybe that's where you wanted to go with your head coach. My best unit is offense. I'll go with head coach. But if your best unit was offense, why not go after Ben Johnson, which I'd been saying forever? And I said like 3 weeks ago, Ben Johnson would either end up with Dallas or Chicago. I really thought it was Dallas, but I knew he was never going to the Raiders because they don't have shit on offense. And so that was a good hire by the Bears. We'll see how he does. I think he's going to struggle just because he's a little bit too cocky with certain play calls. And you saw that in the Lions game, last weekend. I mean, you were down 10 in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes, and you ran a wide receiver pass. Ben Johnson, what the fuck were you doing? But anyways, back to the Cowboys, back to Bryan Schottenheimer. I think it's a terrible hire. The roster is built, in my opinion, it's built, and you have a quarterback who's very capable of winning 11 or 12 games. I think they will do that next year for the most part. I think they will have 10 to 12. And then Jerry's going to look like a genius, and then they'll lose in the first round of the playoffs. And that'll be recurring for the next handful of years because I don't think this is a head coach that can take you to the next level as far as, and for the Cowboys, realistically, the next level for them isn't even the Super Bowl. It's the NFC title game.
Right.
Like, let's just get to that.
Yeah.
Like, let's get there. And then from there, but listen, if you're a Cowboys fan and today is Sunday, December 26th, we got the Eagles and the Redskins here in about 3 hours, a little bit over 3 hours. You're a Cowboys fan and you cried last year about Dan Quinn, how bad of a defensive coordinator he was, and yada, yada, yada. Guess who's in that NFC Championship game, Cowboys? The Redskins and the Eagles, the two most hated foes by Cowboy fans. the Redskins did something with a rookie quarterback and a head coach that you wanted no part of coordinating or coaching your defense. And they're in the NFC title game, a game that you have had trouble to even sniff for the last 20 plus years. And they're in it. I mean, Cowboy fans today have to really be hating the NFL. And most of them probably won't watch the Eagles and the Redskins because they don't even root for it. And if they're rooting, they're probably rooting for the Redskins. And that's the only reason of that is like they think they hate the Eagles more. The only reason you hate the Eagles more now is because they are consistently better than you year in and year out for the most part. They're consistently better than you, and they've won more recently. If the Redskins were consistently better, you would hate them more than the Eagles. But I mean, and shout out to Dan Quinn and Jaden Daniels and all the guys in the Redskins and good for them. But Cowboy fans, you've had plenty of opportunity. Jerry Jones is just an absolute shit show. And I said this about a month and a half ago that if you don't cut his legs, the team will never. The fans should know this already. Like Jerry Jones, and the kids need to tell them. But you have yes men, which are your kids, and it's your family. You need a real yes man in there. And hope, for the Cowboys' sake, this year should be the year you should think, fuck, we should only try and win 3 or 4 games. Really. Like, this is the year you only want to win 3 or 4 games, so then they can just fire Schottenheimer. Because Dak is not your problem. In my opinion, Dak's not your problem. He finished top 5 in everything last year. And he was, I think, second in MVP voting. This year he was hurt, and they didn't look good right out the gate. Actually, after week 2, week 1 they looked good, but that was against the Browns, obviously. So, but this is the year you want to go into the season and just say right out the gate, I don't want to do shit. This year, let's tank. That's what Cowboy fans should be thinking. So they can fucking fire this guy, and someone can actually, maybe one of the kids will actually fucking grow the pair of balls and tell dad, listen, you old senile fuck. Start your own fucking radio show like by yourself, where you come in and you sit by yourself and you talk all the shit you want, not because the station's his, right? So just your own show, your own shit, and that's what you do. And let someone else run the team. Go out and because there's no excuse for America's team, which is either the most liked or the most hated. So it's definitely America's team in those aspects, for sure. But it's the biggest brand in the NFL. And for you to be this bad, it's like the same issue I have with the Raiders. There's such elite brands in the NFL. I'm talking about just the brand of the team. I'm not talking about the actual team, the actual players. No. But the Raiders, the Niners, the Steelers, the Cowboys, and now the Chiefs because of their recent history. But for the most part, kind of those 4 teams were kind of and Green Bay. And those were kind of those are the bigger organizations that are more recognizable around the world. And for you to be this bad, someone in there, like it's just year after year after year after year. Someone in there's got to be telling them, hey, Dad, like this is it. Let's go out and get this guy because there's no reason that they shouldn't have the best GM in the league. Whoever the fuck that is, the best GM or one of the 5 best GMs in the league. There's no reason they should have one of the 3 or 4 or 5 best coaches in the league. Like, there's no reason for that. And I know those guys are obviously hard to move or whatever, but you should be, listen, at this point, you should have been after whoever everyone thought was the best head coaching candidate, which everyone thought was Ben Johnson. There's no reason that the Dallas Cowboys should not have hired whoever the best head coaching candidate was, whether it was Ben Johnson, whether it was Pete Carroll, whoever, whether it was Aaron Glenn, whoever it was. But you didn't even come close. Like you got a guy who I guarantee you nobody interviewed for a job. Like he might have got an interview for like maybe a quarterback's coach, like at Allen High School. Like that, maybe in Duncanville. That was it. I don't even think then. Because he's that bad. He really is that bad. That's my opinion on the Cowboys. We brought up the Raiders. We'll move to the Raiders. And they hired Pete Carroll. I think it's a phenomenal job for the Raiders. Getting Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's a proven winner. USC, Seattle. I mean, he was with the Jets previously and before, but after all of that, after USC, Seattle. Now he comes back to the NFL with the Raiders. Can he improve the Raiders? There's much need for improvement, but I think it's a great hire for the Raiders. Congratulations to them on getting Pete Carroll. You got a winner. Now you got to build a winner, and we'll see how that goes.
Can I ask you a question, Rafa? who should they be focusing on in the draft? Because I hear all of this excitement about Pete Carroll. It's a great hire. That's amazing. But they need a quarterback. So where, how, what is the goal in the draft to get a quarterback or a free agency? Who do you go get?
In my opinion, and I'm not a Raider fan, but in my opinion, for the Raiders, I don't think there's a quarterback in the draft that, at least not in not in the first picks. For me, Cam and Shador don't do it like the way Caleb or Daniels did. And people are like, oh yeah, you could say that now. No, we said that shit last year, that these guys were that good. I didn't believe in Bo Nix. I thought JJ McCarthy, but he didn't play. I thought he would be better than Bo, but we saw what Bo did. He's been phenomenal. Michael Penix, you saw what a small sample size he did. I don't think these two guys are that. So if I'm the Raiders, I'm not drafting a quarterback at 6. Even if Shador falls to my lap, I don't take it if I'm the Raiders, because I feel like I'll tell you why. I feel like Pete Carroll is I don't think he's there for a rebuild. And it is a rebuild, but I don't think he's going to be there to sit back and just watch a rookie at this point in his life, right? He's 73 years old or 72 or whatever it is, 71. He's up there, right? I don't feel like he's there to sit there and babysit, not babysit, kind of babysit, where you're bringing in a rookie. And while Jaden Daniels did it, yeah, but Jaden Daniels is electric with his feet as well. And when you watch Jaden Daniels, like, bro, it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2. We're going for this shit. And what does he do? Because he makes smart decisions with football. You trust Shador Sanders on 4th and 1, 4th and 2? Because I've watched him play. He cannot run the football. He chooses not to. I don't know if he can. He chooses not to, so it doesn't show us anything. Him running with the football. Now, Eddie, who's we're partners on the Two Nobodies podcast, and we hosted together. Eddie loves Jalen Milroe, and Eddie's a diehard Raider fan. He loves Jalen Milroe. I'll be honest with you. If I'm going to take a rookie quarterback, I would take him in the later rounds. In the later rounds, because I'm the Raiders. I need more than just a quarterback. I don't have a running back, which I'm not taking with the number 6 pick. I don't have I don't have a receiver. If T-Mac is there at number 6, that is my pick for the Raiders. I take receiver if he's there at number 6, and then because now I have what I believe T-Mac is the best receiver in the draft. And so if you're able to take T-Mac at 6, you now take the best, in my opinion, the best receiver in the draft. And he could be possibly better than Malik Neighbors. And you have Brock Bowers now. Now I can get a quarterback that doesn't have to be but he's going to have weapons. He's going to have 2, and obviously the rookie that they would bring in, hopefully it'd be T-Mac for them, is obviously a rookie. But we saw what Malik Neighbors did. We saw what Brock Bowers did this year. Both rookies, both phenomenal, right? So, I mean, I'd feel better if I'm a Raider fan with 2 weapons on offense, because my defense wasn't as bad as my offense was. My offense was just terrible if I'm the Raiders. That's what you're looking at. Your offense was just atrocious. And they have a bunch of cap space. I think you can fill in on defense. I think you can, with all the cap space you have, I think you can fill your needs on defense. Well, you can still get a quarterback. And now there's quarterbacks out there. Sam Darnold, if the Raiders take Sam Darnold, I will shit on the Raiders week in, week out, on this show, on Two Nobodies, on every fucking show week in and week out, because I believe that Sam Darnold was a product of having an amazing offensive unit. An experienced quarterback with an amazing offensive unit. He had experience, whether he was shit or not. He sat for 4, 5, 6 years. I think it was a 6-year. I think this was 6 seasons in the league. So, and I don't think he's any good. This is my opinion only, and it's not a good one for a lot of people. That's just my opinion. Could it be that he's a USC quarterback? Maybe. It could be that. It could be that. I don't know. But for me, for the Raiders, if at number 6, I take a wide receiver. I really do, and I hope it's T-Mac that's there. If McMillan's there, I take him hands down, no matter what. And then from there, then I can find a quarterback, whether it's the 2nd round or the 3rd round or the 4th round. You have other needs, and I think it's easier when you have talent on offense at those positions. Sam Darnold showed you this year that it almost doesn't matter how bad the quarterback for the most part, if he can make the throws, because Sam Darnold's decisions did cost them the final 2 games of the season. It almost cost them that Sunday night against the Colts. So the decision making, obviously, but, and I'm not saying any quarterback, but you'd have more. It's easier to have a guy when they have weapons there. It's just easier to plug them in, whether it's whoever it is. If they go and fucking trade Will Levis for a 7th round, I believe it should be just. If I'm the Raiders, I go and get Justin Fields and I draft Jalen Milroe in the 3rd round or in the 4th round. And
There's a guy whose draft stock is steadily climbing, right? And I think that this is the best possible scenario for the Raiders. If Jackson Dart somehow falls to the 3rd or 4th, somehow, some way, falls to the 3rd or 4th round, I would love Jackson Dart if I'm the Raiders.
Well, Jackson Dart wouldn't be bad in the 3rd or 4th round, but if it depends on. Listen, it depends on who you're. If you're gonna, are you gonna roll with AOC to start the season? Because if I'm the Raiders, I'm 1,000% going to get Justin Fields. I really am 1,000%. Give me Justin Fields. Let me take a receiver. Now I have a tight end who will be an elite tight end, and he might have already been one. He might already be it, right? So, because if we look at it, 5 tight ends in the league, you're going to tell me Brock Bowers is one of the best 5? Travis Kelce, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, Dalton Kincaid, and then who's the kid from Detroit? And then the kid from Detroit. Maybe he's 6,
right.
7,
I know who
8.
you're talking about. His name is slipping my mind right now.
6, 7, 8, right in there. So Brock Bowers, top 10 tight end already. You bring in Justin Fields. You draft me a number 1 receiver, whether it's McMillan, whoever it is.
Laporta.
Oh, Sam Laporta. There you go. So, I mean, McMillan or whoever, if I'm the Raiders, I go get Justin Fields. I thought the Raiders should have got Justin Fields last year. And I think you can easily get Justin Fields this year. They gave up a 6 for him. He played a little better. Maybe you have to give up a 5th round pick. Or is he a free agent? Whatever. But I think for the Raiders, I think it's a great hire, Pete Carroll. I think, though, at number 6, I don't draft quarterback, even if Shadour's there, if Cam Ward's there. I don't give a fuck. If they think that Jackson Dart is if everyone says Jackson Dart's a top 10 pick, I don't give a fuck. If I'm the Raiders, I take a receiver to pair with my fucking phenomenal, elite tight end. And he was a rookie. That motherfucker is elite. Okay, so that's who I bring in. I establish a receiver, whoever it is, and I believe it should be McMillan there at that 6 spot. Because just kind of the way the draft looks, I think it will be him. But McMillan there and Brock Bowers, I believe you have 2 cornerstone pieces for an offense that could be well run by Justin Fields, who can run the ball, and also he's able to throw the ball, and he's able to extend drives with his feet, which is what you need at the end of the day. I mean, we're watching these teams. Look at the 4 teams that are left in these playoffs. These are 4 teams that their quarterbacks can extend drives with their feet, whether people like it or not. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and out of the 4 that are left, Patrick Mahomes is the one that least uses his feet. But right, like Eddie always mentions, 3rd and 12, dropping back. Guys are open, the field is completely open and spread. You got guys at 15, 20, 25 yards. And Mahomes is running for 13 for a first down. So these 4 teams that are left, those 4 teams have guys that can extend plays with their feet. Justin Fields can extend plays with his feet. It's not going to cost the Raiders much. Maybe you take Milroe in the 3rd or 4th round. You have him sit a year behind Fields. Maybe Fields turns into Jared Goff, who, the Lions drafted Hendon Hooker, I believe, is in the 3rd round, thinking, well, if Goff has an off year, we can bring him in. He's never going to sniff the field as good as Goff has played. Maybe they get that in Justin Fields. I'm not saying, they're the same type of player. I believe the Raiders should draft a quarterback, a receiver at number 6, and I think from there on, I think they'll be fine. But
100%.
Go ahead.
I have one last question. So one last hiring question before we move on to the games. If we're going to talk about the Raiders, we got to talk about my team, Bang Bang, 49er gang, and we just hired Robert Saleh. Welcome back home, coach. What do you think about this hire? Is Saleh one of those guys that's a career coordinator, and how do you think the 49ers progress from this hire?
Yeah, I think Saleh falls into that group for me of career coordinators. Maybe he gets another chance, and he probably will. I think he's going to bring that unit, the defensive unit. I think they will look like the better unit for the most part of next season, and that's only because when I look at the Niners, I like Brock Purdy. I like Christian McCaffrey. I don't like Deebo Samuel. I don't like Brandon Ayuk. I never liked Brandon Ayuk. I thought the Niners should never have paid him that much money. In my opinion, he's a receiver of his um, of the elements that they have there, where they have enough weapons, where he kind of benefited from the system a little bit. He's not Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase. He's not those guys. Devontae Adams, Wilson, Olave. He's not those guys, in my opinion. And they paid him back money. I don't like it. So I think the offense is going to struggle. I just don't think they're going to be the best unit. I think Robert Saleh coming back to San Francisco and coaching that defensive unit, I think that will be the better unit next year for the Niners. And Robert Saleh can take that defense to where it once was and where it needs to be. So I think it's a great hire by the Niners. I really do. And I thought it was stupid for the Cowboys to interview him. I mean, they might have interviewed him because he's a minority, whatever. I don't think Robert Saleh should be a head coach. It's my opinion. But I don't think Raheem Morris should be a head coach either, and he got another chance. But those guys for me are, in my opinion, career coordinators, just like Spags. But we'll see how the Niners do and they got to figure out what they're going to do with Purdy. Do you pay him? Do you not? We'll see.
For sure.
So
I just got to put out there, I keep seeing on social media that we should flip Brock Purdy for Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. No, thank you. I would not take Sam Darnold. And stop pushing those bullshit rumors on social media. 49er fans, thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, so today is the conference title games. So we will start with the first game, the two monsters this year of the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins. Eagles hosting the Redskins. I believe the line is 6. Over under is 47.5.
Right.
Can you get, is that what it is?
That's factual.
So it looks like there's no snow out on that field today. From what is being said, there should be no snow in the forecast.
Zero snow.
Zero snow. Man, I like the Eagles to win this game. I would love the Redskins to win this game. But I feel like the Eagles, it's a lot of firepower there. But what I do like is I do like the over. I'm going to take over 47.5 on Cut. KUTT. Download the app if you haven't already. Code word Yappin. You get 10% bonus on your first deposit. And check it out there. Two Nobody's Ralph. I will take the over on the Redskins. I'll tell you what, I'll make it one better. I will make it 48. You won't have to pay the extra juice. So if you like the under, I will take over 48. I think we're going to have – I don't think Washington is going to let up having the performance that they had last week, right? I don't think they're going to be tight. And a lot of times we think, oh, these teams are tight. They're rookie quarterback, a head coach who hadn't been a head coach in a handful of years, whatever. But you clearly didn't see that last week. Like they literally – the Washington Redskins went out there and went for it. And I think you're going to get that. The Eagles, it's just, I feel like the Eagles on offense, they move the ball so easily. So I feel like we're going to get a lot of back and forth. I don't think this game gets I don't think the guys are tight. I don't think we're going to see 3 and outs. And I don't believe that. I think we're going to see a lot of, hey, 4th and 2s, we're going for this. 4th and 3 at the 50, I'm going for this. I have Saquon. I got, Jaden Daniels back there. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think we're going to see some points here. I could see a game somewhere like in the 30 to 23, 30 to 24 mark. So I like the over. So I'm going to take the over on Cut. Download the app once again if you haven't already. Find me on there, Two Nobody's Ralph. I will take over 48. The original line's 47.5. We can do that on Cut. You don't have to pay to buy a point like you do on MGM or FanDuel or all of that. Cut's also available in all the states. It's legal everywhere. And you also bet against other people. So you're not betting against the book and you have to see a lot of guys, they adjust the line. So, a guy will say, you know what, I'll take the Eagles at -10, give me plus 125, 150, whatever. And you can also make your other bets. You can adjust. You can create your own bet. They can do a bunch of stuff for you on Cut. So download the app if you have not already. Find me on there, Two Nobody's Ralph. I will take the over on the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins. And yes, on this show, we say the Washington Redskins. And Donald Trump being so close to the Washington Redskins, Then now all of a sudden, the Redskins tribe, whoever that tribe was or whatever, them motherfuckers want it back. They want the Redskins name back. So Washington Redskins, Philadelphia Eagles, over 48, uncut. Download the app, KUTT, code word Yappin.
Yes, sir. So we're going to move on to the very, very next game. And our GOAT, me and Rafa's GOAT, Patrick
100%.
Mahomes, plays against the Bills. But I got to say, all of America is riding with the Bills, it seems, today. So Casey is getting -2 from Vegas with the total sitting at 48.5. Rafa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so the line here, the line here basically tells you, and for you, a lot of most of you degenerate gamblers understand in the NFL, the home team gets 3 points automatically, right? And when Vegas set this line, I think it opened at 2. So Vegas had already set the line at 2, and it's kind of stayed steady for the most part because the money's coming in on both sides, right? And the game's at 3:30 Pacific kickoff Pacific time. So the line, you might get a move, maybe a bigger bet coming in with Buffalo there at the end, maybe something with Kansas City. I think the line's going to end up somewhere like maybe -1.5 for the Chiefs. I believe more money is going to come in on Buffalo. That's my opinion. But what I like in this game, I like the under. I really do. I don't think we're going to get those Chiefs Bills games that we had some years before. Well, we had before. I don't think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get a lot of running the ball. I think we're going to get a lot of Chiefs drives, 5, 6, 7 minutes. Maybe they end up in just field goals and not touchdowns. Because when you watch a lot of Mahomes, it's not like what you saw some years past where he had Tyreek Hill and he was, throwing the ball and the ball's 40, 50 yards just in the air. I don't think we're getting that. I think we're going to get a lot of slow play from the Chiefs. And we've seen it all year long. Like the Chiefs haven't blown anyone out. And, everyone, they get lucky, they get calls, they get this, they get that. I really believe watching the Chiefs week in and week out that when you watch them play, if they didn't get that, and with the exception of the Bengals call, which because it was the last play of the game, but the pass interference in Atlanta, if you give them that pass interference, and it was a pass interference, and not that you give it to them, but if you actually call the pass interference, Atlanta scores a touchdown or whatever, I'm almost sure the Chiefs are going to go down and score. It's just what they do, and people don't want to believe it, but when you watch the Chiefs play week in and week out, and they got this bounce, and the Raiders with this call, and the fumble, and blah, blah. Listen, the Raiders, first of all, they still needed to kick a field goal to tie the game, and then they were going to go to overtime. So it's not like they were going to kick to win the game. I believe that was a 3-point game. So I believe they were going to kick to tie. And then guess what was going to happen in overtime? Like what happened in Carolina in overtime. Like that's just what's going to happen. Like whatever you guys want to cry about the Chiefs and the refs and this and that. Like, listen, Ryan Clark, who's the biggest fucking pussy, and I call him out every chance I get. And I told you, I used to watch the Pivot podcast. And I saw this week that they had Nick Saban on, and I really want to watch it, but I hate Ryan Clark that much because he's a race baiting bitch. So, but he was crying, it's because Patrick Mahomes does this and that. And listen, the play where Mahomes is running around and he gets down, and then they call the helmet to helmet or the unnecessary roughness or whatever the fuck it is they called. It was unnecessary roughness. Like that play there, that's Mahomes baiting them. That's like when Kobe Bryant would pump fake and then have you get in the air and then he'd bump into you and call foul. That's exactly what that was. Now Mahomes is doing it on a larger scale because these are 15-yard penalties for first down. Kobe Bryant would end up with usually 1, 2, or 3 free throws. So Mahomes ends up with 15 yards on first down. But it is exactly that, whether you like it or not. And now they're implementing the flop. Mahomes flops on the sideline. We've seen linemen do it for the last handful of years. The flop's been around in the NBA forever. The problem is that people don't understand because you motherfuckers used to watch 2 games a week in the NBA. Now you can watch all of the games, so you see everyone flop. I posted a video this week of Charles Barkley flopping on Karl Malone and Charles Barkley talking about it when he was a young player. We've seen Michael Jordan flop many of times. Isaiah Thomas many times. So it's just that now, there's so many social media and fucking streaming and all sorts of shit. So you see this now, and Mahomes is doing a hell of a job. putting it to work out there. I'm sorry. Mahomes is a little bit smarter than everyone else on the fucking football field,
This is
whether
true.
you want to admit it or not. So he's going to be able to get a call. That's what elite players do. Whether it was Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, that's what they do. They get it. So, and elite head coaches, they get it as well. Hey, my guy's being held on this and this play. Watch him next time. Guess what happens? 2, 3, 4 plays down the line, he was
Flag.
holding. He was holding. Phil Jackson, they many times. How about with the Warriors? Hey, this guy's moving. I mean, elite head coaches, elite players, they're going to get calls. They're going to figure out a way to get calls. So stop crying. I know the pass interference in Atlanta, that was a whole different deal. But the pass interference against Cincinnati at the beginning of the season, we saw that. Whether you like the Chiefs or not, that's a PI. It really is. So, and refs are going to miss calls. Everyone, since the Chiefs are on, they're the biggest game every fucking week. People are gonna have more opinions of the Chiefs because they hate them so much, and everyone hates greatness, whether they just do. So they hate to see it. If you're not part of it, then if you're not part of it as a fan base or as a fan of the sport, and you could be a fan of the sport, but you hate Mahomes, and so I mean you're gonna
Can I push
pinpoint.
back against that a little bit, Rafa? Because I am a 49er fan. I have been gutted by Patrick Mahomes twice in recent memory in the biggest game of any sport ever to me. And it takes a simple football fan. Like, you can be a fan of a sport, but if you're a fan of the NFL or a fan of a team, I expect you to be a fan of football and a fan of greatness. And so when you see greatness, when you see, if you're a Steelers fan or a Dolphins fan, you have to play Tom Brady, or Giants fan, you have to play Tom Brady, you can still appreciate greatness. And Patrick Mahomes, whichever way you want to dice it, is a great player, a great quarterback, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time already. And so I don't agree with the fact that if you're a fan of a team, you can't be a fan of Patrick Mahomes, because you absolutely can admire what he does on the football field.
The thing is, there's a lot of things that Mahomes does that people hate. So number one, they don't like his brother. Number two, they don't like his wife because they don't like his wife because of her politics or whatever. They don't like the this shit that he does. Like, let's
Yeah.
fucking go. Like, they don't like that. They don't like the way he talks. Eddie doesn't like the way he wears his helmet. Like, it's just certain things. And you cannot like the guy, but you can understand how great he was. Like,
Right.
I hated Kobe Bryant, and I watched the Lakers every night, and it didn't matter the night. It didn't matter the night. It didn't matter the season. I watched the Lakers, and I'm in LA, so I watched the Lakers every night to watch Kobe Bryant lose. I really did. But I understood how great he was. So when people try and tell me, oh, he did this, he did that, listen, I watched it all. So I can tell you, yeah, listen, I watched him hit a game winner, but I also watched him miss the 3 previous shots before that. So I've watched it. So and I understood how great he was. As much as I disliked him, I understood how great he was. And people don't do that with Mahomes. And they don't do that with LeBron James. It's like they
Correct.
dislike him for XYZ reason, and that is it. Like, you don't understand his greatness. And there's a lot of people like that. And I want to say it's probably like 97% of NFL fans don't like
Wow.
Patrick Mahomes. Dude, it really is. And probably there's probably like, I don't know, 45% of NFL fans that after their team is out of the playoffs, if they even got to the playoffs, they probably don't watch.
Oh, me.
They probably don't watch. So there you go. That's just what it is. But anyways, let's get back to the game. Chiefs, Bills. I like under. What would you say the under was? Is it 48, 48 and a half?
48 and a half.
48 and a half. I'm gonna take under 48. So I will take under 48 in the Chiefs Bills game. I think it's gonna be a tighter game. I think it's gonna be somewhere in that 23-20. I think it's gonna come down to the end to a field goal at the end by Harrison Butker. I believe the Chiefs win this game. I would not listen. I wouldn't be mad either which way. Everyone who watches the two nobodies, pays attention to two nobodies, knows these are my two favorite quarterbacks in the league. I love Josh Allen. I love Patrick Mahomes. I'm rooting for the Chiefs. Number one, I believe the Chiefs are going to win because I think they're at home. Number two, they have the best quarterback. In my opinion, he's the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. That's my opinion only. And I thought Peyton Manning was better than Tom Brady for probably till about 2017.
Wow.
So that's my opinion only. I believe that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback I've ever seen to this date. So I want to see him get to the Super Bowl and hopefully win 3. Getting him there, and that would cement him as probably easily the second best of all time. And in my opinion, it's still the best of all time. But it's early, and Brady won 7 and all the bullshit. We get into that another time. But anyways, Chiefs 23-20. I like the under. I think it goes under 48. So I'm going to take under 48 on cut. Download the app if you haven't already. If you have not downloaded the app, download the app. Use code word Yappin on your first deposit. You will get a 10% bonus. And then find me on there, Two Nobody's Ralph. I will take under 48. The line's 48.5. You don't have to pay anything extra. It's even. So if you want to do $50, it's 50 for 50. It's not, there's no juice on it. So it's not 55 to win 50. It's 50 for 50. And it's allowed everywhere. So you can do it anywhere. California, Texas, those states that don't allow gambling, you're allowed to use cut. So check it out on there. Check me out on there. Under 48 in the Chiefs and Bills game today. That's at 3:30. So we got about 6 hours before that one starts. So if you want to check that out.
But we're going to move on to some topics, some lists. It is NBA season. And so I want you to give your top 5 point guards of all time.
So before we get into this, so last weekend of the NFL, basically, we have one more weekend, which is the Super Bowl, the Pro Bowl. Nobody gives a flying fuck about. So this is the last time we will have 2 NFL games on the weekend. So we're moving on to the NBA, and the NBA has started fucking 3 months ago. And nobody's noticed because the product has been bad. But unfortunately, here in the next couple of weeks, it will be the only sport, with the exception of hockey, which has been phenomenal and always has. Too bad people don't watch it. And of course, there's European soccer, but that's in the middle of the day while mostly everyone's at work. So for the most part, that will be the only sport here in America, in the Gulf of Americas. So in the United States, the NBA will be their ratings might go up a little bit after this. Who knows? Because the NFL, like Eddie likes to say, is always king. And after the Super Bowl is over, you get right into the draft preparations. So anyway, so since the NBA is coming up, I wanted to there's a handful of podcasts which I've enjoyed because I love NBA. It's hard to believe, but the NBA has always been my favorite sport to watch, always, since I was a kid, and I played baseball, and I love the NFL, but the NBA has always been my favorite sport to watch. So I see a lot of these guys, and they do these lists, and there's like so much bias to Jordan bias or this guy or whatever. But anyways, so I came up with a list of the 5 best players at every position, in my opinion. And so today I wanted to do point guards, and if we could do centers, that would be great. So, and I know this would be a little bit unpopular with the point guards. So, but I'm going to go top 5 point guards, and these are point guards. So point guards only, and this is my opinion only. You're more than welcome to bash me, which is why I'm doing this list, so you can talk shit and so on. So I got a little bit written down somewhere here. But all right, so my top 5, and I'm going to do honorable mention. It's probably 3 or 4 guys should have made the top 5. Really close. A lot of guys they'll be on top 5s on other lists, obviously. But for me, one of the top 5s, honorable mention for me is going to be Oscar Robertson, obviously. First ever to average a triple-double with the Kings, Bucks, whatever. You have also Chris Paul. Chris Paul is not in my top 5. A lot of people think he should be in top 5. A lot of people have him in top 5. He's not in my top 5. He's right outside of that top 5 for point guards. And then Jerry West, the logo. A lot of people have him at a 2, but he was, you go either which way, either 1 or 2. So he's on my honorable mention as well. And then now let's get into the top 5. For me, number 5, Steve Nash. Won the MVP twice. Saw what he did with those Phoenix teams. I mean, the year that a lot of people say the year that he won it, Kobe should have won it. Fine. But the next year that Kobe won it, Nash should have won that year. He had no Amare, and the Suns won 60-plus games. He was phenomenal. Number 4, John Stockton. A lot of people think he shouldn't even be on a top 5 list. A lot of people have some people have him as one of the 3 best point guards. He's all time in assists and steals. Those are probably 2 records might never be broken. Number 3, Steph Curry, and this dude. This is I battled here. But by the way, I didn't put Allen Iverson in here. He's in my honorable mention, but I didn't put him in here. Yeah, I didn't put him in here because I point guard. I'm not talking about overall players. If I'm choosing an overall player, I would take Allen Iverson before every guy I've named so far. But I'm talking about point guard, actually playing the position of a total full. And I think Allen Iverson was a better scorer than he was a playmaker creator for his team. And that's my opinion. And he could carry a team. And you saw with the 0-1 Sixers, he won game 1 and then lost the next 4, but he could have won the first 3. So he was phenomenal. He's just not in my top 5 point guards. So I went Steph Curry here. Greatest shooter we've ever seen. 2-time MVP. I mean, phenomenal. And number 2, and this is where everybody's going to fucking irate, whatever, Russell Westbrook.
Whoa.
Russell Westbrook. And I'm going to tell you why. Because all these people on these podcasts, they remember Russell Westbrook from the Washington Wizards on. Russell Westbrook's game has completely changed because he's tried to adapt to the way the NBA is. Russell Westbrook was never a shooter. But how can you consider first, Russell Westbrook is 4 times he's finished in the top 5 in MVP. 4 times in a row, by the way. 4 years in a row, he finished top 5 in MVP, and he won one. The year he won it was the first year that he had a triple-double. By the way, the other 2 out of those 4 years, the first 2 years, Durant was on his team, and he finished above Durant in both of those years in voting. He finished 4th. I think it was 2013, 2014, or 2014, 2015, or 2013 and 14. He finished 4th. 2014, 15, he finished 4th. Whatever it was there, but it was 4 years in a row. And Durant was on those teams, and he finished higher than Durant in MVP voting both of those times. The year Durant leaves, he was easily the MVP. It wasn't even close. He averaged a triple-double. Bro, he had nobody on that team. He had Victor Oladipo, and that was it. And Victor wasn't Durant. He wasn't Klay Thompson. He wasn't any of those guys. So people, when they forget Russell Westbrook. And so you have an idea of, I'm going to give you some stats that might shock some of you. But so Russell Westbrook has 3,000 more assists than Steph Curry. 3,000. These are point guards, by the way. He's also played 300 more games. That's an average of 10 assists a game that Curry would have to have for him to pass Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook would have to play 0 games for the rest of his career. Okay? So I'm not arguing that Steph Curry is not a better player. What I'm telling you is, in my opinion, Russell Westbrook's a better point guard overall, all time. I'm not talking about today. I'm not talking about Russell Westbrook from the Wizards on, and even with the Wizards. Maybe not even with the Wizards. Maybe it was a year after. The year after he left the Wizards, where he started to fade because the game has changed. The game has changed. It's gone a different way where you need to be a better shooter than what Russell Westbrook is. So he also has almost 4,000 more rebounds than Curry. Okay. And 4,000 more rebounds, 3,000 more assists. He has 400 more steals. Curry's never catching him. And I know Westbrook's played 300 more games. Curry's never catching Russell Westbrook in these categories. He's really not. The only one he could catch him in, and he will pass him in, is probably points. Because Russell's coming off the bench. He's probably averaging 8 to 10 a night. It's not really, it's not the Russell of what it was. 2011 to 2017, 2018 Russell Westbrook. It's not that. Okay? But he's better than Curry in every category. I know Curry. He's won 4 titles. He also had an amazing team for the 4 titles. He has won 2 MVPs. Curry is a superior player. There's no doubt about it. If I take a list of my top 10, which I will give it to you in a couple weeks or in a couple episodes, Curry is above Russell Westbrook in that. But as a point guard playing the position, he wasn't a better point guard, a better creator than Russell Westbrook. Not at any moment. Not at any moment. Until obviously now. But I'm talking about if we take prime Russell Westbrook. in prime Curry as a point guard, Russell Westbrook is without a doubt a better point guard, in my opinion, than Steph Curry was. It's my opinion only. You're welcome to bash it, and that's what we're here for. And then number one, Irvin Magic Johnson. I mean,
100%.
6'9" point guard, a true average 11 assists a game. I mean, he's just phenomenal. And a lot of people say, if he didn't end his career early, maybe he gets to at least maybe 25,000 points or whatever it was, and maybe he threatens Jordan to be the best of all time. Magic was phenomenal. In my opinion, he's the best point guard of all time. He's probably one of the 5 or 6 greatest players of all time, in my opinion. Some will have him higher. But I think he's, for me, and there should be no doubt about it. Like, people make lists, and they have Curry as the best point guard of all time. Like, Curry might be a better overall player at the end when it's all said and done. And realistically, I will tell you no, because Curry's a 2-time MVP. Magic's a 3-time MVP. Magic had Kareem. Curry had fucking Durant. Okay. Magic also didn't have Kareem in that game 7 as a fucking rookie, where he played all the positions and won MVP and won that series. And I believe that was 1979 or 79 or 80. So as a rookie, Magic went out there, played all 5 positions for that game 7. So without Kareem, he won that. Okay. So Magic also has plenty of finals MVPs, which Curry has won. So the teams where Durant was on, Durant was arguably, there's no argument about it, he was far and away the best player. The first title the Warriors won where they beat LeBron, Iguodala was the finals MVP because he guarded Durant. I mean, he guarded LeBron. That's why. And Curry was a non-factor. If we remember also that finals, that Western Conference Finals where the Thunder were up 3-1, game 6 and 7 against the Thunder, those games were won by Klay Thompson. They weren't won by Curry. So for most of the people who have this list of Curry being better than Magic, it shouldn't be. Like, overall, in my opinion, he's not better than Magic. He's the greatest shooter of all time. Magic Johnson is the best point guard of all time, and he's a better overall player than Steph Curry, because at the end of the day, Steph Curry had Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, and we can say what we want, he will go down as one of the best 20 players of all time, all-around players. I'm talking all-around players. I'm not best player. All-around players. Draymond Green, to me, in my opinion, is one of the 20 best of all time. All around.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm just saying, and we get that to another day. That's another list, but I'm throwing it out there. Draymond, and when system and all that matters. But at the end of the day, Magic Johnson had Kareem, but it was not the Durant factor. Durant, Klay Thompson, Draymond, I think is a different factor. It's my opinion so that's my top 5 point guards of all time. You're going to hate it because Russell's in there and this is the problem that I have with the NBA. And I see it with a lot of people and all these LeBron haters and Westbrook haters and all of that. Like, they want to judge the NBA like the way they judge the NFL. The NFL is a week-to-week, game-to-game judging of every team, of every player. We judge because their lifespan is so short. Their league, their careers, they're so short. So you're so quick to judge them. In the NBA, you're trying to judge Russell Westbrook on the last 3 or 4 years when you should judge him on the overall that he's put together. That's look at what Westbrook did from 2011 to 2017. He's arguably one of the 3 or 4 best players in the league. And he was probably the second best overall player in the league at that time. He averaged a triple-double 4 times. 4 times. And he's padding his stats. Listen, he didn't average 10.1 assists rebounds. He didn't average 10 rebounds. He averaged like 10.7, 10.9. I think he might have averaged 11.7 one year, if I'm not mistaken. We can fact check that, but so it's not like he's just padding his stats. No, it wasn't that. When you watch Russell Westbrook on a night in, night out during those years, you see the elevation. You see the defensive rebounding ability that he had. It was that of a guy who would play the 3. And it was that ability, his passing, his playmaking. I mean, he's not an elite passer like Magic or Stockton, but he averaged over 10 times a game. So I would love for people to stop judging. And you have all these idiot Laker fans who judge LeBron on the last 3 or 4 years. And what you fail to realize, the man is 40 years old, and you're trying to judge him on the last 3 or 4 years. And even then, like the last 3 or 4 years, he's still top 15 in the league. So I mean, but I wish they'd stop doing that with the NBA. Stop judging these guys within the last two years or 3 years. Look at the entire body of work. Because if we judge Kobe Bryant on his last 3 years, he's a below average player. He's not better than Kevin Martin of the Kings some years back. Like, so we shouldn't judge them. We're not judging LeBron. Nobody ever brings up Michael Jordan's last 2 years in Washington. Like, nobody ever brings that up. So I think we should have the same standards for everyone else. LeBron James, Russell Westbrook. Like, we don't judge them based on what you've last seen. And although LeBron's numbers are phenomenal, Russell's are not. And you want to judge Russell Westbrook and all these idiots when he came to the Lakers. He's terrible. Well, dude, his game, the league has changed, and Russell's style of play does not adapt to shooters. He's not a shooter. He needs to have the ball in his hands, and unfortunately, later in his career, is not what it is. So don't judge these guys, and people do that every week because there's daily shows on this shit where you have to Russell Westbrook that and it's stupid. It really is. Russell Westbrook, his career should be appreciated, and a lot of these people don't because they're like they treat everything like the NFL. It's just 1 week. So, 100%.
Anyway, that went a little long, so we'll save the centers for next week.
We'll do the centers for next week.
But you wanted to talk about a special man in this world who has just become the 47th president of these here United States. And people are going nuts. They're going crazy. DEI is going.
Oh, man.
What do you
guys? Listen. Dude, this week this is the first week. He was inaugurated on Monday. It's now Sunday. This is the first week, and there's people that can't even handle this shit. Like, they cannot handle it. They are fucking, oh my God. Like, they are literally, they're going crazy. Like, what are you going to do for the next 4 years? Like, what the fuck are you going to do? This is week one. This is week one of 208 weeks to go. Like, you got another 208 weeks of this shit. And, you're already getting the idiots. Henry the sissy, who's out on Instagram talking about the egg prices, and the other bitch, Rashida or
Did you see that? Did you see his egg prices video?
Bro, like, well, dude, the other, listen, it's been a week, number one. Number two, these were the prices last week. Like, if they went up 50 cents or whatever, I don't know what it is. But these were the prices. Why were you not bitching about this shit last week or a month ago or 2 months ago? And then you see people like, the Republicans were complaining about what everything costs. Were the Republicans the only ones? Or is everyone just fucking Elon Musk? Like, you're not going to complain. You weren't complaining about the prices. You just thought that shit was okay. But that's what people who vote for Democrats mostly are. They're mostly just okay with whatever the government tells them. They're okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So here is Harry Sissy talking about
news. Egg prices have gone up 37%. And Donald Trump is president right now. Where are the cheap eggs? Everybody, let's do the Trump supporter logic. You ready? Donald Trump must be responsible for this dramatic rise in egg prices because he's president right now. Why isn't he lowering these prices? Why isn't it cheaper? Okay, now we can get back to normal. The Consumer Price Index shows egg prices are up 36.8% from this time last year. The average price of a dozen grade A large eggs was $4.15 in December, an almost $2 increase. And one of the largest reasons for the increase is the recent bird flu outbreak. The highly pathogenic avian influenza was either directly or indirectly responsible for killing more than 20 million egg egg-laying hens in the last quarter of 2024. Farms are required to cull all birds in an infected flock, basically devastating the egg industry. And of course, there are other factors at play here as well. But if us Democrats were as dishonest and as disingenuous as the Trump supporters, we'd all be blaming Donald Trump for this right now and screaming from the rooftops.
Oh my gosh.
So these people understand. Listen, it's been a week. It hasn't even been a week. We're not even a week into this shit. This man on Friday was in North Carolina, Los Angeles, and in Vegas.
And Miami.
And then he flew home. Like that's just the first fucking week. That's just the first week. What did Biden do the last 3 months? So I mean, listen, like these people, they think that it was just overnight. And it's because Trump said it. No, that's the way you interpret it. Whether he might have said it or not, they're gonna say shit because they're gonna say shit. They're trying to pull their voters or whatever. Okay, and I'm sorry, Megan Thee Stallion didn't do that for you guys. So now you guys have to come out and listen. When the increase that we saw in the products with Joe Biden, it didn't happen overnight. It happened a year after he was in office, a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. So when you're in office for that long, yes, it was your fault because it didn't happen the first week. We weren't complaining about these prices week 1 of Biden's presidency. We were complaining about these prices 8 months into Biden's presidency, a year and a half, 2 years, 2.5 years. That's when we were complaining. We weren't complaining the first month or the first 2 months or 3 months or 4 months because we saw this increase as year or month by month by month went by. That's where the increase went up. So, I mean, so we're not, and they're all using it. Oh, I need to see the groceries down within 30 days. Like, dude, listen, we didn't see Biden's groceries increase for 6, 7, 8 months, but you failed to forget. You failed to forget it. To me, it's just funny how these people are, it's because the Republicans were bitching about what everything cost. Was it only Republicans? Do Democrats make this? Do you guys make a certain amount of money that we, like, groceries just don't affect you? Like, what the fuck? Like, seriously. But they don't get it. I mean, they really don't. And then you have these, I want Trump held accountable for the things he says. Like, it's because nobody tells him shit. Are you kidding? There's literally 2 news networks that are just built to only say shit about Trump. Like, it doesn't matter.
More than 2.
Well, I know of only 2. I don't listen. CNN and MSNBC. I don't watch ABC, CBS. I don't watch CNN or MSNBC. But for the most part, the videos I get the videos I see are more CNN and MSNBC. But anyways, there's probably all of them, with the exception of maybe Newsmax and Fox News. Who knows? But all of them are literally built, and the only reason they stay alive is because they're able to talk shit. All they do is talk shit about Donald Trump. It doesn't matter what he does. He could have come into California, gone into the Palisades, and with a fucking magic wand, rolled in 30,000 homes. You still would have found something to bitch at. You literally would have. You have zero. They have, and then the city, it says, because if Democrats were this dishonest. Are you kidding? This dishonest? What? You are the kings of dishonest. The kings of it. There's plenty of examples. Plenty of them. And you cannot be more of a piece of shit person in your core. How about the vote last week? Or was it the week before? We had over 150 Democrats from Congress vote to not deport illegal immigrants who had been convicted of violent crimes, rape, murder. You voted no to that. How the fuck is that not eye-opening for you idiots? The ones that, my daughter's going to lose her rights. None. Not a fucking actual thing.
She actually gained some.
Yeah. So not an actual thing. And guess what, actually? Some of you who think your 7-year-old daughters or 8-year-olds or 5-year-old daughters who you dress already like little fucking boys, okay? How about the fact that when those little girls are 15, 16, 17, okay, unless you've somehow magically transitioned them, which you probably won't. Hopefully you won't, because you cannot be this fucking stupid. But you won't have to worry about those little girls playing soccer or softball or basketball against fucking men who think that they are women. So that you gained that this week. You gained that, Democrats. So
And also throw another one in there. You
Go ahead,
also gain your incarcerated women not having to share their jail cells with men who think they're women as well.
Yes, there you go. How about that? So you've actually gained a handful of things this week, and you didn't lose any abortion rights. So you can go on and get all the abortions you want. At least in California,
Thank
you
you.
can. At least in California, you can. So, it's just ridiculous. And then we get into this DEI, and they changed this from da. Like, listen, Trump said it, and I've said it, and people have said it. People with common sense have said it. You get the job that you are qualified for. It doesn't matter your skin color. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you are qualified for the job, you deserve the job. Bottom line. Well, listen, if you take, and let's look at professional sports. If you take Mike Tomlin and you take Bryan Schottenheimer, who's white, and Mike Tomlin, who if you don't know, is black, who's more qualified for a head coaching job? Is it Mike Tomlin or Bryan fucking Schottenheimer? Who the fuck is it? Because I'm sorry, but it is 1,000% Mike Tomlin. He's more qualified. He deserves the job. Okay? So if Mike Tomlin and Bryan Schottenheimer walked into an office for a fucking job, for an NFL head coach, a college head coach, for any position that involved the game of fucking football, who's getting the job? Mike Tomlin. Because he's more qualified than Bryan Schottenheimer. It doesn't matter that Bryan Schottenheimer is white. Okay? It doesn't matter. He's not qualified for an NFL head coaching job if he is applying against Mike Tomlin. Bottom line. So DEI is this bullshit narrative that you had to push because the Democrats want it. That's the thing. And people will, I don't understand why it doesn't register in these people's heads that you guys keep voting Democrats. You keep voting for Democrats year in and year out, and you're not progressing. Why are you not progressing? It's not because of the Republicans. It's because of your elected officials that you're not progressing. So because Democrats put it, all right, we got to hire this black woman. We got to hire this black guy. Are they qualified?
100%. Number one question you should be asking.
Are they qualified? I don't give a fuck. You shouldn't have to fill out on an application. And I don't know if you do, because I don't hire many people. And when I do, I'm kind of racist about it. And I need them to speak Spanish. That's just what it is. I need a motherfucker qualified to speak Spanish. If a black dude walks in that's named fucking Jamal and he's fluent in Spanish, Papa, you got the job. But you need to be fluent in Spanish. I'm sorry. So every job has there's requirements to it. If you're this, you're that, whatever. Okay? I don't care if it shouldn't matter if you're black or white, Asian, Latino, whatever, man or woman. I mean, yeah, there's certain jobs that women aren't qualified for, like playing basketball. So, I mean, those jobs you shouldn't have, which is why you have your own league. All right. But at the end of the day, it's all about being qualified. And it's the DEI and this and that. Like, I'm sorry. Listen, we can look at all professional sports. What's going on there? How come there's more black dudes in the NBA? Because they're better. Because they're fucking better. It just is what it is. Why are there not enough white cornerbacks in the NFL? Because they're not good. Because they cannot play that position. It's just what it is. Should we have a whole DEI fucking hearing for white cornerbacks in the NFL? No, it's stupid. So apply that to everything else.
Yes.
Apply it to everything else. There are certain jobs that people cannot hold. I'm sorry, man or woman. I'm sorry. You're not qualified for that job. What is so hard about that? Like, that is just basic common fucking sense. If you are not qualified, you can't have the job.
Hello.
I'm sorry. I'm not qualified to play fucking point guard in the NBA. I'm not qualified. Should I have it? No, I'm not qualified. That's it. Bottom line. I'm sorry. There's white dudes that can't play corner. I can't play in the NBA. We're not qualified. That's just
so
what it
people
is.
are very clear. We're qualified to talk about it because we have headphones and a mic on, so it's like our ass.
I'm qualified. Yeah, exactly. I'm qualified to talk about this shit. I paid to do this shit. But at the end of the day, it is that simple. It is that I don't understand why people have to find some gray area. It's black and white. You're either qualified or you're not. I don't care. Like you know what? People are making a big deal about the LA fire, whatever. I think she's a woman, right? It's a woman.
The fire chief.
Yeah, it's a black lady, right? The light skin.
Yes,
she's a man or a woman.
She's a lesbian woman.
Okay, so she's a lesbian woman. Listen, if she's qualified to do it, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. But I don't want to see a commercial where people want to be rescued by people who look like them. That's fucking not true. 100%. Listen, if I'm in this room and the shit is burning, bitch, if you could pick my ass up and walk me out, do it. Handle it. If you're walking your ass in here with a fucking mask, with a gas mask on or whatever, fucking some oxygen, I don't give a fuck, man or woman. If you're qualified for the job, it shouldn't matter. Maybe she is qualified. The bitch looks big. That's dead ass. You clip this shit, send it to him. She looks like a big girl. She looks like she's probably 5'10", 242 pounds. She probably tried out in high school for the football team. She might have. I don't know. But she looks qualified as fuck to walk in here, pick my ass up, and carry my ass out. 100%. So I don't appreciate people talking shit. Oh, she's qualified and this and that. Listen, she looks big enough to be fucking qualified. I'm all right with it. I didn't like her commercial that they did. And I know it wasn't just her idea. It was all the other idiots that fall into this loony fucking bin. And by the way, I know you guys hate to think that you are mentally ill. You are mentally ill when you believe that we need to, that the firefighter needs to be black to go and save a black family. Okay? That's stupid. It's just stupid as fuck. Like, just to even put that out there is ridiculous. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, no. I'm burning. I'm burning.
Spanish? Rescue me. Like, what the fuck?
I'm burning in my house. Oh my gosh, my wife is burning. You got a black guy?
Yeah, send the brother in. Like, you know what I mean? It's really stupid. It's really stupid for that. And DI is super dumb. I really do. If you're qualified, it's that simple. Like, I don't understand why we have to make a brain surgery. It is that simple. And you could take the easiest examples.
I'm going to use the platform I have, this show and to nobodies, to push back a little bit. Because what I am most fearful of, and we just saw that Lackland got rid of its Tuskegee Airmen part of their training. I don't think that those type of non-issue policies or executive orders per se are beneficial, because the Tuskegee Airmen have been are a great part of our history. And so, but I will tell people to calm down, because Trump does have different parts of his base, and he's going to throw meat to every part of its base. I'm big on border policy and foreign wars. He's throwing meat. He stopped the aid to Ukraine. He's stopping the aid of the embargo on Israel. There are racists on the right wing, like there are. And he has to throw meat to every part of the base, and I don't agree with it. But just calm down, because these are non-issues that are not really changing the fabric of our country. But I will take this opportunity to push back, because there are some things I disagree with.
No, and there is. And listen, there's going to be things that you disagree with on the right and on the left. There's just plenty of it. The problem is that when you see the left, and Stephen A. Smith spoke on it, and I didn't watch it, but somebody sent me Zach sent me a clip of it, or somebody sent me a clip of it, and I thought it was phenomenal, where the Democrats kind of just catered to one kind of thing, and that was the LGBTQ plus minus subtraction division symbols or whatever. They catered to that, and they only stayed kind of focused on that. And that's what affected them. And so, and yeah, the Republican, like, you're right. There's certain things like Donald Trump needs to cater to, his white voters in the South. He needs to cater to his black voters in Florida, and some in Chicago, and the Latino voters in Arizona and Texas. Like he's
100%.
going to cater to them as much as possible. We're only 1 week into this thing.
But can I speak
And
on that, Rafa? That
Yeah,
point
go
that
ahead.
you just made? Because how great is it that what you just said, he has to cater, and not cater might be the wrong word, but his base is so diverse. You're talking about Latinos, Latino immigrants in Texas and in Arizona. You're talking about blacks in Chicago and the Cuban immigrants in Florida and his white base in Florida and in the South. He has so many different coalitions of people that he brings together. Like, it's ridiculous. The Democrats are not going out and getting all those different bases of people. He has so many different ideologies that are in his party that it's really amazing to see all these different types of people work together.
Yeah, it's 100% right. And listen, like the immigration thing where he's deporting all these people, I think that appeals to the black and the whites just as much.
100%.
And you see a lot of these black people in Chicago going out and speaking up at city council and talking to the mayor and stuff like that. Like, listen, these people are coming in here and they're taking some of these jobs, and people are going to say, oh, well, and this is the other thing real quick on the job thing. Like, bro, how people don't even realize how racist they sound when they say it. These bitches did it on The View, I think last year, the year before. Kelly Osbourne said it, where it's like, oh, who's going to clean your toilets? Who's going to guard? Like, bro, do black people not clean toilets? Do white people not clean toilets? Do legal immigrants, do American citizens not clean toilets? Like, do they not do landscaping? Like, dude, when you guys say that shit sounds racist as fuck. Oh, you're deporting all these people. Who's going to cut the lawns? Like, bro, that shit is racist as fuck.
100%.
Like, the biggest
people
landscaping companies in the country are not owned by illegal immigrants.
Right.
And they probably, yes, a lot of them employ illegal immigrants, I'm sure, but they also have plenty of American citizens who do that. And so, like, for you to just throw that shit out there, it's racist as fuck. It literally is. Like, Democrats don't understand how racist they are with certain things, and it's like, but it's too much it's just too much shit going on.
100%. But black people also need to get out of their feelings, because there is a reality when people say, like, oh, Trump's talking about black jobs. Like, no, there is a such thing as a black job, because the reality of the situation is that 1/3 of black men have felonies, and you can only get certain jobs with felonies. And so, yes, the lower construction jobs, the lower entry-level jobs, those are black jobs, because most 1/3 of black men have felonies.
Yeah, you said it, not me. I'm glad a brother said it, not me. That would have been like, you racist. So, but and so I just hope everyone can stop freaking out. It's been a week. Stop watching Harry the Sissy, right?
Harry the Sissy.
Stop watching Harry the Sissy, who fucking goes on there, and he was so creative that he took somebody else's idea and is doing it. Like, he couldn't create that shit on his own. But anyway, so you didn't create this on your own. Well, there's like 1,000 or 10,000 sports podcasts. So yeah. But there was one guy who did what you did at an elite level. But anyway, so the guys that watch Harry the Sissy and all that, I mean, listen, you know who? There's one dude who I'll tell you something. Another thing too, I had never used the word or even heard the word triggered until like 2017. Like, bro, I never.
It's a new phrase.
I never heard that. I never heard that shit. And now there's this guy in our group chat who's he is, bro. Everything triggers him. Like, you can't believe. Oh, it's because nobody's holding Trump accountable. It's been a week. Oh, Gavin Newsom told him. He just didn't say it in person, or he didn't say it. He didn't say it in person. All right. So Gavin Newsom's a pussy then. Like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If you weren't impressed with Friday with Trump's press conference in the Palisades there with the mayor, that it got so bad that and listen, I don't know. I'll tell you the way it looked, and then you can if you know actually what happened, then you can tell me. They pulled the mic from in front of Mayor Bass. Now, I don't know.
They snatched that shit right. They snatched that shit right away from her.
Now I'm gonna defend both sides here. I don't know if there was only one mic on that side or not. So, but they did pull it away from her. So I don't know if that was another mic on that side or not. I don't know. But
can I just
go ahead.
My only thought is that she was on the facing side of the panel, right? So it was a U shape. So everybody on the sides, there was Congress people from all over the state, there was commissioners, and she was on the front facing panel. So the person next to her didn't take it and start speaking. He just took it and held on to it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you saw. I didn't notice it. Watching it live because I watched the whole thing live. But all these people, like, Trump said, listen, we're gonna bypass the federal permitting and all that shit, right? He told her, you can do the same. You can do it. You can kind of get to it right away. And so then now you have all these people pushing back. Oh, well, it takes a lot longer, and you should have to wait the 18 months and blah blah. Yeah, because it's not your house. Because
Right.
it's not your house. It's not your community. It's not your neighborhood. It's not it's not your home that your mother has lived in for 40 years or you grew up in. It's not your home. So that's why you're saying that. If that was your home that you built, you would want to be able to rebuild as soon as possible. And especially for a lot of those people in the Palisades and Malibu that might have the money to rebuild right away without waiting for their insurance claim and all of that, or whatever. They'll have the means to at least be able to clean up right away compared to an Altadena. And that was the other thing where she said, well, you'll be able to get back in there in 7 days. And Trump said, well, 7 days is too many days. I feel like it's too long, and then she starts, well, hazmats, it has, all that bullshit. Right. So, at the end of the day, like, what people don't understand about Trump is that the reason it's not that, people are like, oh yeah, it's because I love him and I would die for him and like, you're thinking of the way you love Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or
Right.
LeBron James or whoever it is. The way you see them is the way you think that we see Donald Trump. And at least for me, it's not like that. I see Donald Trump as a person that says what he's thinking and what we're thinking. Like, hey, why the fuck, if we have plans to rebuild our home, why the fuck can we walk in there? Some fucking inspector comes, we go to the city or whatever, they sign off on the plans because it's the same fucking plans, and we start working on this shit. And we start working on this where we can be back in our homes in 6 or 7 months. That's what we're all thinking.
Right.
If you've ever had anything to do with construction or building anything, that's what you're thinking. Like, you're not thinking, oh yeah, it's because I need to go through the proper channels and blah 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 blah. Because we know every city employee, whether you like it or not, is just not they're city employees. They are the laziest fucking people. I'm sorry, I'm telling you the truth. You're the laziest motherfuckers. You could give a fuck. You really don't care unless you're taking a kickback. That's dead ass fucking honest.
As a city
That's the
employee,
truth.
I will not comment.
So I'm letting y'all know. You guys get the days off that other people don't get. It's a whole bunch of bullshit. Okay. And it's always ass kissing from here and from there and blah, blah. Dude, let these people build their fucking house and get it moving and grooving. But he said that. And you should understand that. You should be like, yeah, fuck, he's right. But no, you go out and defend, well, this and that and blah, blah. Like, that's how much you hate the guy. Like, literally. Because you live in LA. Okay? And you work in that area. And you know who you are. Calling your ass out. You work in that area. So technically, that is your community, whether you like it or not. And you're in LA, so everyone in LA is part of your community. You should want those people to rebuild their homes and get back into their homes. You don't want them
100%.
living in fucking hotels, motels, Airbnb, and all sorts of other shit. You should want that. You should want them to get in right away. Because the other thing is, too, that people don't understand, because you're so focused on hating Trump, is that the longer it takes to rebuild these homes, the longer these people are out in other areas. So the longer they're out in hotels, the longer they're out in Airbnbs. Guess who's paying for that? The insurance company's paying for that. So guess what happens? The insurance company is going to need to make up that loss.
Yep.
Okay, whether it's State Farm or California Fair Plan or whatever the fuck it is, Allstate or whatever, they're going to need to remake that money. They're going to need to make it back. Where are they going to make it back? They're not only going to make it back in California. They're not only going to make it back in home insurance. They're going to make it back in auto. They're going to make it back in renter's insurance. They're going to make it back in boats, in RVs, and motorcycles. And they're not only going to make it back in California. they're going to make it back everywhere because most of these insurance companies are nationwide. So the more money that these insurance companies have to dish out and I don't know what they're giving out a day. It could be 500, 600. My friend's home burned, but he don't give a fuck, and he went and got his own place. He wasn't going to wait for that. But I don't know what they're dishing out, the size of the families or whatever. But if you're going to have to dish out for a year or a year and a half for these people, they were talking about just 18 months to get permits at some point, I think. And then the mayor said, no, we're not doing that. So, if they're dishing out for a year, how much money are they dishing out per family for a year? Because you remember, they have to give them money per day for food.
Yes.
Because they're staying in these hotels. So, and I mean, that is money that the insurance company is dishing out, which is what you don't understand because it's way above your logic of fucking the part of your brain that can use that. You've never used it in your life, so you wouldn't understand that. So for you to think, well, they should go through all the channels, they should have to wait their 18 months or 12 months or whatever the fuck time, that's only going to cost you at the end more money. And because at the end of the day, when these insurance companies dish it out, they got to get it back. They're going to get it back a little, 60 here, 80 here. They're going to get it back. So we want these people back in their homes as soon as possible, or in their new homes as soon as possible. So hopefully the mayor gets it done. Trump dropped his nuts on that shit. Whether you want to believe it or not, he did. Okay. And I think I think Mayor Bass is going to do the right thing here. And I think she's going to help these people, and she's going to help the process. Because if she doesn't, and she was already on national TV, because that was everywhere, she was on national TV as saying that she was going to and Trump told her, you can do what I did. You have that power. And she kind of stuttered a little bit, but then she
I do? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So she'll I think she's going to get it done. I really do. I think she's going to help the city. I think that she's going to help everyone get in there as soon as possible. I really think she is, because if not, in another 30 days, Trump will come in and drop his nuts on her ass again. So, but guys, it's been a week. It's been a week. It's been a good week, whether you like it or not. It's been a good week. So, appreciate what the president has done so far and what he's going to do in the next 200 plus weeks. It's only the first week. So untuck your thong, men. Harris for Waltz. You know who you are. Okay. Untuck your thong and relax. That's all I got to say on that.
That's it. That's all I got for you.
All right, fellas. So thank you for tuning in to the Yappin podcast. Check us out. We go live. We don't go live, but we put these episodes together as we go. If CJ's got time and I've got time, we do them. And if something pops up that we want to talk about, we may do a show tomorrow. So I got plenty of, we might do a show fucking later on tonight. Who knows? But I want to get into the NBA. I want to get into all these lists. I want to get into in the next coming weeks, I want to get into this Jordan, LeBron talk. Because watching so many things, it's like watching Scottie Pippen the other day on Patrick Bet-David, certain things that he said. It's like, and they want to walk back all these things, and I'm not going to allow it. I'm not allowing it. Not allowing it.
All right.
Fuck them.
See y'all later.
Later.